Hello, I am Elliot Stewart, and this is Gaz over here.
Hello, I'm Dr. Gaz. Good to hear from you again, Elliot, as always.
Yes, so today, I don't know if I'm looking at the camera or I'm looking at you, but we are looking at this exciting 60th anniversary trilogy of stories, The Star Beast, The Wild Blue Yonder, and The Giggle.
That's very good. Well done. You've managed to remember what happened over the last 2 weeks with the titles. I'm very impressed, Elliot.
I must admit, we had the titles for quite a while, and I was trying to work out exactly. I thought Star Beast, this is going to be the 1979 comic book, like an adaptation of that. Wild Blue Yonder, I was thinking something to do with TARDIS, something to do with Yonder, something like the Mind Robber, something strange.
Yeah.
Turned out to be.
You know, you're not alone in that Mind Robber connection. I've seen other people who'd come to that same conclusion. They thought, this is going to be a Mind Robber reference. But
The Giggle, even though I had seen the trailer and it had given away that it was saying sort of like laughing at the human race and that thing. He does that acting through the bottom of his teeth and all that sort of stuff. So I was like, oh, I wonder who it could be. And obviously the Celestial Toy Maker stuff had sort of broken a bit. So little bits we already knew. And I remember being very excited about the Christmas trailer that we got last year for all of this. Something out there it was. Donna was definitely going to die, or so we thought. It really looked like, and then every now and then, every few months, there'd be a trailer. I must admit, like, I enjoyed all of it a lot more than I was expecting. Not that my expectations were really low, but I wasn't quite sure whether they were going to balance this. And it's very spooky. I didn't think it was going to be scary, and there was some spooky bits. So
I can tell you that it's interesting you're saying about your anticipation there, because I can remember with the last Jodie Whittaker episode at 13, I actually had got to the point of saying to my other half, shall we watch it? Because we'd had such a sort of downward trend on so many of her episodes, and then we watched The Power of the Doctor and adored that episode and thought, why has Chibnall kept his powder dry until this point? This is what I wanted throughout the series. So actually, I was on quite a high expectation for this trilogy, but I was trying to minimise spoilers. I was really trying, I watched trailers, but that was as far as I went. I was trying not to read comments. I was trying not to watch all the little teasers, because I want to go into this as fresh as I did almost the 2005 series, and kind of almost experienced myself again, the new era of Doctor Who. And I was really interested in the way the BBC on iPlayer has portrayed the series now. You've got the classic series, and then you've got the 2005 to 22 series, and then there's the 2023 onward series. So it's very clearly been marked as the third coming, if you will, of Doctor Who now.
All part of the Whoniverse.
The Whoniverse. Yes. Do we like that phrase? I love the logo. I'm not sure I like the phrase.
And I liked, my son was taking the mickey out of it, saying, it's trying to be like the Marvel Universe thing. And maybe it is. But this whole thing of why not? I mean, at the moment, we'll probably leap into particular bits of each episode, particularly the open-endedness of The Giggle, saying, I reckon spin-offs are on their way. But I mean, the last spin-offs in Doctor Who, Torchwood, the Sarah Jane Adventures, they were for both very different audiences,
and
grown-ups and kids.
You must remember Class.
Oh, Class.
I've tried to erase it from my memory, but it's still there.
Well, I liked Class or Class. I did really. I got sat down and thought it was a bit like, I think with Class or Class, it was a little bit like The Last Jedi, as in we'd had an awful, it was a lot like when Solo came out. It was something that nobody wanted. It was at a moment where people weren't really sure they liked the franchise anymore. And the same thing with Class. It came out, and it was all basically nobody had asked for this. And so, but did people have been asking for years if Russell T Davies could come back, if David Tennant can come back, and they did. And straight away,
and it's interesting because I almost had that feeling of, is this just, we're going to be playing the nostalgia tour? It's like when the ABBA's on tour again. Oh, great, play the old stuff, play as the stuff we love, the old familiar ways. And with certainly the first episode, The Star Beast, I really felt, this feels like the early days again of the 2005-2006 series, in a good way.
Yeah,
but very updated from there. But it felt like big event Saturday night television again. And it's been a long time since Doctor Who has really felt like a big event nights.
Well, that was the thing also for me. I was watching it, but I did get that feeling where, for people who'd never seen Doctor Who before, and maybe this show wasn't for people who've seen Doctor Who before. There was, apart from having somebody look to the camera and say, this is something that's happening. I am the Doctor. It's this. I am Donna. It's that kind of thing. That was quite long. It was a bit like, if you're aware of the more recent series of Hitchhiker's Guide to the Galaxy, where it was the thing that was not written by Douglas Adams, and now another thing. They spent the first 2 episodes of that new radio series re-explaining everything that had gone on before, and then getting on with a new adventure. And I think for people outside, I enjoyed it. But for people who had maybe completely binged on the series, they'd already knew this. For people who hadn't, it was a bit of like catching up. It was quite a long catch up.
I liked it. I mean, it reminded me, and I know you and I have said this when we've chatted before, it reminded me very much of The Princess at the start of Dune, from David Lynch's version of Dune at the start, where she sets the scene for the very, very complex Dune universe. And so I quite liked it. I thought, I like this. This does feel a slightly different beat. This isn't your grandfather's Who, but it is at the same time. And this is where we are.
The beginning,
and now we can move on to the story. And I liked it as a preface.
I remember the beginning of Rose being quite quick. When you watch it at the beginning now, it's a fast little montage. And to have the new Doctor Who Star Beast start, not in a similar fashion, but certainly going really, really quickly. I don't think people's attention span, I said attention span, pay attention, attention span is that slow. But I'm so used to watching American TV, which is very slow, it takes its time and basically wants to draw you in. And English TV is still very hectic. You get this impression that something must happen every 5 seconds or people are going to turn off. And reeks of me.
It's the whole decompressed versus compressed storytelling structure. I mean, as you say, American TV is so decompressed in some cases to the limit. I mean, like you go watch something's got 26 episodes in a season. Pretty much half the season you can dispense with.
Yeah,
there was no filler with these 3 episodes at all.
I mean, I rather liked. So we got the Star Beast. We get introduced to Donna's family in quite a fun sort of way, and then everything is suddenly.
The call back to Donna Noble missing things again.
Funny.
That I liked. I thought, that's okay. This is already paying off in the opening 5 minutes for me.
And do you? I mean, I thought it was interesting. Have you really read the Star Beast?
I haven't. You see, I funnily enough, I started reading Doctor Who weekly, monthly, as it were, a few issues after the Star Beast sort of stuff. So I missed it. And much as I love Dave Gibbons' work and Pat Mills, I've read so much of their stuff over the years. That's something I've never read. So it was completely fresh to me.
So was the meat? I mean, I don't know, because I knew the meat was about to be a bit of a meat. Was that a surprise to you, or you think, this is any second now? It's that it's.
I had it pegged as a bad guy. But because I just thought, surely super cute, it's gonna be evil, and I loved it as a heel turn. It wasn't how postmodern it's a bad guy, because it was lovely. And I mean, Miriam Margolyes just did some fantastic vocal work, I thought, with that.
I always forget that she's the Cadbury's chocolate. Other chocolate is available.
Oh, that sexy bunny, yes.
She's the Tripitaka in Monkey. And a lot of other things as well. So
I didn't know she did Tripitaka and Monkey. There you go. You've educated me today.
So I mean, what is interesting about thinking, because this is 3 weeks ago since that first episode, and it did seem like as you say, quite exciting, and a lot's happening, and unit are called in, and what is really interesting about it, and I've had this discussion before, is that just when you think it's getting a little bit too not hectic. Just when you think it's just lots of fun nonsense, it slows down, and we have this really, really sad moments where the Doctor, or this new version of David Tennant,
14, yes,
he gets really upset about knowing that Donna is going to have to die to save the day.
Yeah.
And out of the blue, something rather nice happens. Now, a lot of people, when we don't want to discuss this because people discuss it in such a negative way, but I liked Rose coming to the rescue. I thought it was really nice.
It was the theme. I mean, if you'd read the episode, and I'm sorry, I'm going slightly academic there, read the episode. But the episode was about family.
Yeah.
And interestingly, we tie that into the very end of the Giggle as well, but we'll come to that. So the fact that Donna's daughter is effectively the saviour here Well, that makes complete sense because it's a new generation. It's someone who's helping to save the day for her mum. It's not having just to rely on the doctor. So no, I thought that actually fed into the themes of the entire episode quite neatly.
I had a slight problem, and don't worry, it's not what you think it is. My age, you think I'm going to say something? No, viewers. Okay. Rose is 15. Right? 15 years ago, in the story, Donna had a breakdown, mental breakdown, and she was really sad. But at the same time, she was going to make a baby. I mean, when you've just come out of a really bad mental breakdown, do you think, you know what I'll do? Is I'll try for a baby. That seemed a little bit odd.
You see, I simply assumed it was unit time. So maybe it was 15 years, maybe it was slightly more, maybe it was slightly less. And you know what? I'll just take. I'm not going to get all quantitative and try and work out exactly how many years have passed. Enough time has passed for Donna to find herself, to have a relationship, to have a child, and to reach this point in her life.
Well, I don't know. I'm not one for numbers, but I was just sitting there going, so Rose is 15, and they definitely say in the script it was 15 years ago. So during that year where she had a breakdown, and that's what they're saying, is at the same time she thought she'd try for a baby, or was it an accident or something? Now that sounds to me like an awkwardness we don't want to get into, but it kept back in my head. I'm going, it was this thing of going, I don't want, Rose being adopted wouldn't work because then you wouldn't be able to pass the non-binary thing, which I thought was lovely at all. But I thought you could have made Rose older because the actress playing her is older.
Yeah.
That
felt like just all the and that just felt like all the classic sort of schools programs from the 1960s where everyone's played by 30-year-olds who are, hi, I'm 14, you're 33, you're not convincing anyone. Well, exactly. And she wasn't that old, but she was certainly older.
About please sir or some 76.
Yeah, that's what I was thinking particularly.
But when Sophie Aldred played Ace, she was meant to be, well, she said she was 18, but she's 16. She's in Dragonfire. She sort of said,
yes.
I mean, she fibs. So I couldn't understand why Rose couldn't be slightly older.
Yeah, I know.
And because the actress is older. But that wasn't anything spoiling for me. But there was a moment when all the bad things were happening, and someone said, get the children out of there. And then Rose went, I'm all right. And going, you're a child?
Yeah.
I don't even, because Rose was such a strong, competent character and everything, I didn't regard her as being 15. Not that 15-year-old people aren't, but within the narrative, we're being told, oh, protect that person. But as it turned out, they need protecting.
There was that slight element of that you get in sort of screen things where, 15-year-olds are hyper competent, hyper right. And that rankles a little bit. But you know what? It was just such a small element of it. I don't care. That's as I say, it was about family. It was about being saved by your family, however you configure family. And I thought it was quite a powerful message.
Yeah, it was very nice. That was the thing, the positivity. I've just seen an interview with Russell Davies tonight doing the premiere of the Christmas special that's coming. I think it's probably called Destination Christmas because the last thing was called Destination Scar. No, it's not. It's called Ruby something, isn't it?
It's the church on Ruby Road.
That's right.
I know. And I was talking to a friend of mine who was at the premiere last night. And so, I'm just green with jealousy, or should be TARDIS blue with jealousy. One of the two. I don't know.
But so basically, the Star Beast, I really enjoyed it when it was on. I can't think other than that age thing.
No, it's like I say. I think we're fishing for things we didn't like about the episode. For me, it was like this is a great season opener. This is an interest because I viewed this as a season. These 3 episodes. That's the way it seemed to work. It was a good season opener. It was a great reintroduction to the characters. Had a great supporting cast. You could have done in the American style a lot more episodes with the basis of this with these sort of people in it. It gave us the traditional teaser from Russell for the Meep report. I'll be reporting back to my boss. Oh, who could that be? Not who I thought it was, obviously, because that's not paid off yet.
No, I mean, it's one of those things. I don't want to give I don't want to give this episode an individual number thing. Suddenly, I thought, 7 or an 8. Where I wanted the whole thing.
Okay. Well, I mean, for me, the episode was 8 out of 10. thoroughly enjoyed it, and we haven't even talked about the single most standout moment of the episode,
which is
the new theme tune and the opening sequence. I adore that. That for me, I've heard the theme. I'd seen the orchestra playing it, but to actually watch it with the credits and just go, that was. I was excited as a small child again watching Doctor Who came on, and I think that's pretty powerful considering my ancient.
I'm being TARDIS just then when it goes to and then goes to. What is interesting is there's that lovely bit of opera at the end. It does a high pitched thing, but there was at the end of the end titles. It had this weird noise. I was like, what's going on? And then if you put your headphones on, it's two drums going from the left to the right to the right to the left for reasons that are yet to be explained, but are just sort of fun if you're listening to it in your headphones. So I definitely enjoyed the Star Beast. I was about to say 7 out of 10, and what I want to explain why is there was that weird moment when I was watching it, and I was definitely enjoying it, but there was a point where all the explosions were happening. And it seemed to go on a little bit too long. It was like I love a good set piece, but when you're just sort of seeing explosions and more explosions and they're not doing anything. Oh, I like the bit where they climbed over the thing, like in The Magician's Nephew. They climbed from top to rooftop, like the thing for Narnia. That was nice as well. And I like the what is the what it is something that's been tickling me a bit. Is that we had this whole thing about why has he kept this face? Why has he kept this face? Now, it is vaguely mentioned, and we'll get to that in a bit, in The Giggle. But a lot of things that seem to be set up in the trailer for me, like will Donna die?
Yeah.
No. Oh,
trailers have lied to us? How shocking is that?
Well, yeah, and I don't like that when they do that, because it always feels like I like it when it's like, oh my goodness, it looked like when you watch the trailer, it looked like her dying. We almost feel like we're getting it in this episode. We're going to be in the last episode, but I can see why Russell T Davies didn't do that, because he's very, very positive. And I just saw an interview, as I said, with him on the premiere, and he was saying there is so much television and so much news out there telling us how bad the world is and how bad things are. You know what? Why can't we just have something that is positive? It doesn't mean it's fluffy. It doesn't mean it's non-deep, but it just means you leave with a positive feeling, like seeing Star Wars when you're a kid, when you're set.
I would say one of the big things as well for me for all three of these episodes is, normally I would have probably watched Doctor Who over dinner. Have Doctor Who on, have dinner. I set aside these 3 hours to sit and watch it as broadcast, as live, without having dinner, and I am so glad I did, because I didn't want to be distracted by dinner in front of me. I wanted to be watching the screen throughout the whole time, and it paid off well.
Well, I had to watch it several times afterwards because my son and
that sounds like you've been punished.
I had to. No, because my son watching it and my wife as well kept asking questions during it, and I having to sort of quickly explain something while I'm trying to watch the thing at the same time. That was quite fun. So the fact that you've got two people who had slightly gone off Doctor Who are watching it and being intrigued by what's going on means that Russell Davies knows what he's up to.
And even my mum was watching it again, and she has definitely stopped watching it for some years. And I didn't talk to her about it, despite my lifelong love of Doctor Who. But she was I was talking to her 2 or 3 days ago, and she watched the first two. She said, I'm off to go and watch the third one now. And I'm like, oh. Wow, great!
I am going to give you. I did say 7 out of 10. Mainly, it's also almost like retconning it because I know what's coming, and some of that disappointed but I still do like it though. So because
for me, if I'm going to be critical, it's the weakest of the three, but that's a really high bar we're setting here. So
this is the thing. So now we're getting on to the last two. I've only seen
the last two, or the second two.
The last.
It's a glass half empty, glass half full kind of perception. Let's go to the midpoint of the season.
Yes. So we have got Blue Yonder, which starts off looking as if it's going to be a bit silly.
I don't know. It's the one that I know lots of people were hyped up about because they'd kept the cast secret. And there was people speculating it's going to be multiple doctors coming out of the scenery. And I know some people that for them that's what let them down.
Oh.
I loved it. I loved having a mid-season, quiet, effectively quiet, two-hander with lots of characterization in it, lots of time for conversations, and a chance for Tennant and Catherine to act.
Yeah, I mean, it was really. I do you remember? I mean, obviously we're going to mention Midnight, but everyone forgets about Midnight that it starts off quite fluffy. It starts with Donna sitting by the swimming pool and saying, "Oh, I don't want to go on that thing to midnight. I'm all right." And then we meet everybody on the train, and everyone's got funny little characters.
It's the Agatha Christie episode. it was always going to be that. It's strangers on a train. Who's going to make it through this murder mystery? I was wrong. I was totally wrong about who was going to make it.
It doesn't start off dark, and this is the same with this one. We have a kind of funny pre-credit sequence. I think it's pre-credits, isn't it? Yeah, with Isaac Newton and all the apples and everything, and it's all sort of silly and whatever.
That beautifully wrong-footed me because I was like, oh, this is another romp episode. We've had a romp. Here's another romp. Oh, that was the romp. Oh. Just the pre-credits.
Which I still was kind of. I'm not sure whether that was a wise decision or not, because I enjoy it and I like the creepiness, but. Forgetting people who really hate Doctor Who now for lots of silly reasons, to start off with a bit of fluff and a bit of silliness, I don't know. As I say, I keep referring to the American way of telling stories. I would have been much more.
You see,
put me in with the scariness.
It's one of the things I love about Doctor Who is it can wrong foot you like this. That unlike an American show, the tone of an episode can shift.
Yeah,
and it can be a bit daft and then quite scary. And let's face it, this is the creepy episode.
Oh, it's brilliant.
I mean, the moment for me when they're standing on the deck of the spaceship, looking out into nothing, and there's that sort of the big concept of this is the edge of the universe, this is what lies beyond. I love that sort of high concept sci-fi sort of stuff. You know,
what I found it myself was the fact that the Doctor seemed scared.
Yeah,
that always helps. That's that thing. If David Tennant walked in and going, oh, blimey, and empty this. Oh, this is all right. Oh, well, don't worry, Donna, we'll be okay. But he didn't. Straight away, he's like, I'm not sure this is all good at all. And if the Doctor's scared, we should be.
There were certain elements of Utopia I recognise there, because obviously in Utopia, when they hurl to the end of time, and this is the end of the universe, so there's that same sort of idea of, we've gone too far. Again, and I like that the Doctor's unnerved because it's outside the Time Lords and his experiences to be this far out or that far in the future.
But did the TARDIS do it deliberately? Now that's spooky because
I had a horrible feeling, when the TARDIS dematerialized with the Habs, that it was going to reconfigure and we'd suddenly have a totally new TARDIS set after that beautiful new TARDIS set we'd had.
Oh, we forgot to mention that, didn't we?
Oh no, we haven't. I know this is it. You have. There was so much going on in the Star Beast. We haven't even mentioned the new TARDIS design, which again, wow. There's the budget on screen.
I sort of like it, and I'll tell you why I sort of like it. Is it's not quite creepy enough. It's kind of like the new next gen Starship Enterprise. It's all big.
It's the Apple Store.
No creepiness about it. It just looks like a spaceship. Now, for me, the whole cool thing about when you get in the TARDIS is that it's a rickety thing. It's it's like it's either organic or it's weird. It's that. This just looks like, it looks like a generic spaceship thing with a really cool thing in the middle.
To my mind, it's got a big space because we can do things in the console room that we couldn't do when it's a narrow space. I mean, you think back to Earthshock. No, I was going to say. When are they going to? Go on then. I should graciously allow you to speak.
Space is good. Okay, I know the idea is it's bigger on the inside. Okay, but the whole point with that, I always thought it was corridors. But when he does have the episode where he gets to swing a cat around, then I'll be happy. Right.
Yeah. Okay, that's exactly that. I mean, I was just thinking like Earthshock when you have the Cyberman. Men invade the TARDIS, and it's like there's just too many people standing within 2 yards of each other. It's like a party where there's too many people in the room. This has got space for drama to happen. And I think it affords us things potentially in the future. I don't think we've used it yet. I don't think we've used the space yet.
What you sort of do in this episode, we do a ramp thing, but that's about it.
Yeah, I think it's something we're going to see in 15's tenure being used.
But for me, like it looks pretty, and that's great. But for me, the whole charm of it being bigger on the inside was that the box is like, it's only that much space.
Okay.
Oh, it's slightly bigger. It's not hugely, I mean, I always felt that, like, the Paul McGann TARDIS, I mean, like, you could just live in it and you wouldn't have to go outside. That's the problem. Is the whole point.
But that's, for me, that's part of the TARDIS fantasy, that it's just such a vast space, that the idea is there's so much space in it. There's rooms the Doctor hasn't even been to. I mean, you remember in the Mask of Mandragora, when they find the backup control room, it's like, oh, I think this is the backup control room or the main control room. I don't know, I've forgotten about it. And I love the idea that it's just so old and so ancient and so varied, you could get lost in it.
But it doesn't look old and ancient and varied to me.
That's been updated now.
Eh?
It's been updated, like anything. It's the new, a new screensaver, as you'd have. Like anything, you put a new veneer on it. It's the same machine underneath. We haven't seen through any doors yet inside it. We don't know what the rest of it looks like.
I think it needs more character. I want cobwebs. I want dust. I want bits, things everywhere. It looks like I like lived in, and it doesn't look lived in.
You see, for me, it's interesting. You were saying about it reminds you of like the Enterprise, or the modern version, the Apple Store version of the Enterprise.
That's it.
For me, it feels like a callback to the Liberator of Blake Seven.
Oh, there you go.
That was a big space.
Yeah.
That was for things to happen, for people to be on different levels, so drama could happen and people could, and they weren't just standing next to each other, next to a table. Let's face it, a hexagonal table.
Okay.
So I think the TARDIS space is a good thing.
The pressy button thing, I think that looks really nice. So anyway, back to the giggle.
Back to the Blue Yonder. Yeah,
we weren't really arguing, people, but I like this quite far. I just want to get that swinging cat thing out.
Disagree, but yes.
So the giggle is great. They've got this atmosphere. You've got the Doctor is scared. What I really liked, and I don't know whether this happened to you, when you watch it again, you realise that the scenes in the other rooms are with doubles.
Oh, I've only watched it the once, and I recognised the first time.
I didn't. You see, I thought we were doing a narrative jump, that the Doctor and Donna were in a different room having a chit chat, and then we were flip flopping back and forth narratively. And then I was realising that, hang on, these things are happening at the
simultaneously.
Same time. Whoa! And that
I clocked it and immediately went, oh, this is going to be one of those episodes. Oh, good.
Yeah, and they were very good. It reminded me of sort of Doctor Who magazine comic strips of Colin Baker, where he's in the TARDIS and weird things start happening. I mean, you could have had these weird doppelgangers in the TARDIS. I know that doesn't relate to the plot that we have eventually, but having a big empty spaceship that's all rickety and falling apart and has a slow, cute robot doing something. There was a lot of mystery in this, which I really I didn't know what was going on. Different to the Star Beast, which was there is an alien, there is fighting, there is explosions, there's family stuff. This is what the hell is going on. Some people found it boring. I didn't.
It's a classic Doctor Who mystery box.
Yeah.
And even once we begin to know what's going on, actually, that's fundamentally more terrifying. Because at the start, it's just a double. Somehow it's the ship projecting a double. Oh no. This is something from beyond time and space itself, which is assuming the form of the Doctor and Donna. Whoa.
Well, not explained at all. This isn't the Wibbly Wobblies from Wibbly Wobbly 5. The bit which goes, he sort of says, my arm is too long. And like, what the hell? And then you see the little hand come up across the widge, and you're like, minute. And then he comes in with the longer arms and the jaw coming on. You just think, oh, it'll just be that. But then the way that these copies talk, and the way there's a point where they get split up and our heroes meet up, but they're not sure which one is which or who is which separately. And then you get to this point where the Doctor starts talking about the flux and talking about upset things, and suddenly you realise he's talking to an alien, nasty, vindictive alien who disintegrates into a puddle and is laughing at the Doctor in the same way that the Doctor, a bad version of the Doctor, does some sort of Exorcist 3 walking around thing.
Yeah. It's because in the Star Beast, the threats to Earth, to London, whatever. In this, the threat is specifically for the Doctor and Donna.
That's why it worked for me.
And that's a nice little tonal shift there.
Oh.
And I'm a big fan of shows that can actually make things feel personally threatening, rather, because it's easy to go, oh no, London will be blown up. I don't live in London. I'm fine. All my stuff's not there. But when it's just your two characters, and when you're watching something, you're invested in it. They're your, alter egos. They're the people you think you feel like you are in the story. But if they are personally threatened, much creepier, much scarier, much more engaging.
What I really liked is, and it reminded me of a very scary bit in Get Ahead in Advertising with Richard E. Grant, if you've ever seen that film.
No, I haven't. I know of it, and I may have seen a few minutes, but I've not seen all of it.
Yeah. There's a point, without giving too much a plot bit, but that he grows an extra head, and then something goes wrong, and they lance the wrong head. They lance the original, not the copy.
Oh, good. I would say the reference I would go for there is Society.
That's horrible.
Oh, I know exactly. Yeah, if we're talking body horror and faces in the wrong place.
My Kermit the Frog thing. But the moment where the doctor takes off and she's going, no, you got the wrong one, and we think, have they?
I actually thought, is this going to be cunning? Because this is 3 episodes we've got. RTD has promised us something different. Maybe we kill Donna in this episode and we're left with the Donna doppelganger for the last episode. Ooh. How will that have changed the Giggle dynamic? That the whole time there, it's not just the toy maker might not have been the threat. It could have been something else. It could have been the Donna. I did for a moment. I was taken in, I will confess.
And I really like the way that they're looking after each other a lot. At the beginning of the episode, Donna gets freaked out when the TARDIS goes away, so the doctor holds her or looks after her. And then it's happened at the end as well. So we have 2 friends who are really looking after each other. And I'm going to say straight out, there's nothing I don't like about it, even the silly bit of fluff. So I'm going to give it a 10 out of 10 because I could watch it again and again because I'm really scared.
Well, I was going to say, I mean, the 2 other things we haven't talked about this episode that I particularly loved. Yeah, Mavity. I'm sorry, it might be a throwaway gag, but I really like the idea they've mucked up the timeline just with a tiny little thing, and I love the consistency of it. And Wilf.
Oh yeah, how did I forget about?
How do you feel? It might have been only the one scene we got with him, but my God, how fantastic to have Bernard there for at least one of the episodes. The final episode, the Giggle. Even if the Giggle hadn't been a superb episode, the fact that the Star Beast and Wild Blue Yonder had both been so excellent, I was happy with the 60th celebration by then. So it was good.
So that moves us on to the Giggle, which I have only just I've seen once. I'm watching little clipettes of it. I want to watch the whole thing all over again.
Me too. I've not watched any of them twice, and the Giggle is the one I will be going back probably to watch this weekend again. So.
But it was one of those sort of moments where, with the Giggle, and it was a little bit like the Star Beast, everything starts happening at once. So straight away, we're kind of like the world has gone completely bananas. But don't worry, UNIT will take you away, and then the Celestial Toy Maker shows up. I really like the atmosphere is great. I love the fact that you have this sort of like an old baddie which the Doctor is absolutely terrified of, which again I mentioned. I really like it that the Doctor is scared because we can be scared because then maybe the Doctor can't save us. I like the fact that it's a huge satire on people typing stuff online, Twitter, particularly as in like people hating Doctor Who and being very right about the fact that they hate this new direction or whatever it is. And one of the cleverest bits, outside of imitating Boris Johnson or whatever it is, was the point where Lethbridge Stewart, I've forgotten her name now.
Kate
Gemma Redgrave takes her repressing thing off, and she says stuff that people in Twitter were saying about the UNIT Special Scientific Advisor, saying, how can she cross her legs? Russell T Davies wrote this last year, in June, if not earlier.
Yeah.
And to predict that people would, I'm trying to avoid saying naughty words, nitwit.
It's that level of sort of, of ableist vitriol. Let's face it, it's what it is. Directly, and it's like, he predicted it correctly. And I loved her as the UNIT Special Advisor. It's really good. I even like the idea she was the 50-odd 52nd advisor, which tells you how many they've gone through since the Doctor's been the advisor. We've lost a lot of them.
And you've got now I knew that Bonnie Langford was coming back, but I didn't know it was in this episode because I know
me neither. Can I just say, this was a very fresh experience for me. Being glad to see Bonnie Langford.
Oh. Well, I remember being quite embarrassed when I was a teenager in the late 80s when they were talking about who the new assistant would be, and it turned out to be I'll scream until I'm thick.
I will confess that was the point I stopped watching Doctor Who for a season.
Oh no, it's good. It's good.
Yeah, because I've gone back and watched the season and actually quite enjoyed it and quite enjoyed Mel. But at the time, for me as a mid-teenage boy, it was really no
people. Sorry, Bonnie Langford, you are really cool, but
she is. I know. This is. I genuinely really enjoyed her in this episode. And I've enjoyed her stuff in the past now, but maybe it's a maturity now. I look at Bonnie Langford's contributions.
I've always been very fond of the Spice Up Your Life and the Spice Girls. I even watched the movie in the cinema, but.
I've seen the movie, but I did not go to the cinema.
But it was the matinee. It was quite cheap. So But the moment where we were doing a Master season 3, leaping around, singing and dancing, like in Last Time Lords, I think it's called.
Sound of Drums, Last Time Lord. Yeah.
We had Rasputin leaping around to Master being Rasputin, going to Boney M. Both which worked really well, but I really liked this one. The fact that he was pointing to himself, going, and look over there, and look what I'm doing now.
I mean,
Eric,
I've got to make a big confession here. I love a song and dance number, and so the Sound of Drums and Sasha doing his Rasputin stuff, adored them. With Neil Patrick Harris being cast as the toy maker, I was hoping there'd be a song and dance routine in it. And it just paid off in spades. I loved it that moment. When
I watched it, we were sort of laughing and joining it, and then I didn't notice till I watched the clip again, where Kate says, "Are they all right?" And he goes, "No, they're dead." I'm like, oh God,
he's a dog. It's not this is just fun. No. He is evilness. He really is.
Yeah.
So gleefully played. He is a god playing with these tiny mortal beings. Well, literally a toy maker. Yes.
Now I must admit though, and I feel like I'm the wave of negativity here. There's loads of stuff. I liked the new Doctor. I liked lots of it. But what I didn't really like was it was quite anticlimactic that the Celestial Toy Maker, seemed to come out of nowhere. I would have liked if he was more hinted at in the early episodes.
Well, I thought he was the boss that the Meep was referring to, but clearly wasn't.
No. And, obviously, Rose is making toys, so maybe she's the toy maker. No, that
I did. Yes, exactly. That's what I did wonder if there was going to be that connection, but no.
So I will watch it again, but to be defeated by throwing balls around, I think it probably looked good on the page. I think its execution was kind of fun and light-hearted. And it was quite sad when the Celestial Toy Maker sort of went, "Oh, that's not fair." Did feel sorry for him, which is very strange.
Really? Yeah. I liked it because when you compare it to his original appearance, where he's beaten in basically Tri-Dominoes, a very simple game, it is just the fact he might be a celestial being, but he is constrained by his own rules. That's the only limits he has. And I like that fact that it's basically, we've beaten you in a game of catch because you like simple games. And they use simple games in the original version. The one episode that still exists is quite painfully slow to watch, but it still uses nice, simple games, indicating that I'm such a master of all games and arts. Why would I not use just simple games?
Well, that's the thing is interesting about the fact that not many people either heard or watched what remains of the Celestial Toy Maker, and I am one of them. I know bits, and I think it's really interesting to take a character that people don't really know at all. They don't, they've only seen little clipettes and stuff, and then to have that puppet show where he's reiterating what happened to the assistants, and we were laughing. The darkness of the bit where he goes, "Well, that's all right then." It's hilarious.
It's superb. I mean, Neil Patrick Harris's use of accents in there to indicate his malice, his inner racism, his sheer hatred and mockery of everything. I love, and yeah, that little puppet show that he did of the former companions. Notice he skipped over 13 companions because generally they had happy endings, so he won't mention them. And what about Nardal? Nardal was fine, you know.
I mean, I did have a thing about. I wasn't quite sure why he had the German accent in it, but for me, it took me out of it occasionally by having this funny little accent like that. Why he is doing this? Why?
I just felt it was his way of mocking. You know, it's like, oh, I'm a little German fellow who does these things. Oh, no, I'm not. Ha 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 ha. It just feels like on a very basic level, he's such a spiteful character.
Yeah, that's true.
That any way he can inject spite at the human race, either individually or as a whole, that's what drives him. It's spite and bitterness. And I loved it. It was a real motivation. It's not sort of, I want to rule the world. It's like, I want to play with the world. And I am a creature of chaos and destruction. And I thought that all of it he communicated both the small and the grand beautifully.
Yes, well, the bit where the Doctor says, I can't believe, I don't understand why you're so small. And suddenly the Celestial the toy maker is really, oh my God. And then we get to the new Doctor, which I absolutely love. I have not seen Ncuti in anything other than clips. And we straight away have two Doctors and not do the shtick of not getting on. They love each other. They're hugging. They're looking after each other. That was lovely.
We got our multiple Doctor story for the anniversary after all.
Yeah, well,
in the freshest way possible.
This was the thing. I mean, as much as we have people complaining about Doctor Who, this, that, and the other in so many ways I don't want to talk about because they're meanly people. But the way that regeneration is now changed forever probably isn't, but it isn't. The show contradicts itself, reinvents itself in new bizarre ways all the time.
Absolutely, it's always had a loose canon.
Yes.
The problem is there are folks out there who there's a certain way it is, and they lock onto that as their head canon. And then if anything outside of that, suddenly no, but that's not the reality of Doctor Who. Doctor Who has changed. The way the Time Lords presented has been changed over the years, let alone how regenerations were treated. Everything about the show has changed, and it continues to regenerate itself. And that's why it's been going 60 years, because it hasn't forced itself into a box. You look at the long-running American sci-fi shows, and they always reach a point. I mean, I love Stargate SG-1. Big fan of it. But even I will say the latter seasons are a little problematic because you've defeated the Goa'uld, and we've got to bring in a new enemy, and we've got to top ourselves, and then we've defeated that, and then you can't build on it. With Doctor Who, every time we change the actor, we kind of change the show really at the end of the day, and this, we've got a brand new, exciting new direction. Why not, after 60 years, do something really different with regeneration? Love the idea.
It's so positive. It's going back to that.
It gave 14 a happy ending.
Yeah.
And none of the Doctors has a happy ending because they normally just die.
Yeah.
It allows 15 to go off unburdened by the darkness and to be potentially an adventurous, fun-loving, swashbuckling. Who knows? I don't know the direction they're going to go. But he's not burdened with the baggage for the first time in a long time. And that's always been a thread throughout all of the New Who series. He's a survivor. He's got PTSD. There's elements of that, and they played that up with 14 still. The 14 was still filling that with the Flux. Oh my lord! Chibnall made both the Flux and the Timeless Child. Russell made Chibnall's Timeless Child and the Flux interesting for me.
I know.
Across the specials, he actually took the concepts that I was like about, and just treated them as more interesting than I thought they had been made by the person who actually wrote them in the first place.
So generally positive. So would you say The Giggle is your favourite, or do you think?
It's easily my favourite. But like I'm saying, all of them were good. I mean, saying The Giggle was my favourite of, it's like a box of, of delicious chocolates. They're all delicious. This was just the most singularly delicious one. Even, the Scooby-Doo corridor, the creepy puppets. The fact we had a flashback to the Hartnell era that we just recoloured in, the Unit HQ, Oh yeah, the fact it was just joyful as well, and the ending.
What I liked, we just going back to the Spice Girls moment, is it really showed the combination of where you have something silly happening on screen, but actually it's quite sinister, connected to the characters, people we care about, and then, you know, I felt like Russell T Davies sometimes gets accused of repeating ideas, like someone's picking up that golden tooth in the style of whatever, but that's just one little tiny thing. He is not repeating himself because the ending wasn't sad. It was positive and happy. Now, some people are sort of saying, oh, does that diminish the fact that this new Doctor isn't really a new Doctor? No, that's a new Doctor. The old Doctor you might see again, which we've never done before. But the Doctor Who, as you say,
I mean, and it's one of those things that with the flick of a writer's pen down the line, you can work your way around it. Oh, the Doctor's merged back into himself. That Doctor ceased to exist. He was a temporal anomaly. There's so many ways around it with whatever a future showrunner does, and would be interesting, exciting to explore. And the show evolves. The show regenerates. The show develops and evolves.
So, are you to put yourself back in time to Christmas last year? The trailers that you saw, you must have seen those trailers.
Oh yeah.
For me, they are much more than those trailers looked like. I was like, I feel like I've gone through so many experiences, scary ones, funny ones, and I'm not knocking the Chibs era because there were little bits of that
they were good. They were good bits, and I have to acknowledge that. Yeah, they absolutely were.
But with the Star Beast,
the first two episodes of the Flux are really, really good, and kind of I was so impressed. It's a shame that kind of went on.
The 3 episodes of these had all this depth, of this humor, this darkness, this silliness, the ridiculousness, the character stuff, only in 3 episodes. But I feel like we've lived through an entire season.
That's exactly my feeling too. This was a micro season. We had the crowd-pleasing opener, we had the introspective mid-season character-driven one, and the big finale. And unlike a lot of RTD's earlier stuff, we didn't get it as a 2-part finale where the first part's really good and the second part's not quite as good as good. So just all together.
So there we are. So now we can say, without sort of quoting,
I'm going to say, what did you rate the Giggle, by the way?
Oh, I see. I'm having difficulties because I gave the second one 10 out of 10 because I really liked it, and I'm still.
I gave it 9. I mean, I gave the Eagle 9.5. There's, I don't know why I'm not even giving it a full 10. Maybe there's just some slight reticence, but it was near a perfect an episode of Bodden.
But it's funny when I watched it for the first time, I've got people I was watching it with talking over bits, asking bits, reacting to stuff, so I couldn't quite hear it, and I was there. So when so now I have only seen it like once with interruptions. So I can give you like an 8, but I bet you when I watch it again, because I can keep watching clips, it might go up to a 9.9.
Yeah,
really good.
I mean, it's of all the 3 episodes, there were standout moments that I was going, yeah, it's really great. The Giggle is the only one that actually involved me actually going yes while sitting in my chair, and I'm going, what kind of sad fanboy I am, but I was so excited and so drawn in by it, and I just loved the experience.
So will you be stopping all of Christmas on Christmas afternoon and go, everyone stop, we must watch Doctor Who live? Are you going to be
I've certainly always done that, and it's always been part of my Christmas. I'm glad we've got it as Christmas rather than New Year's Day. New Year's Day didn't feel quite the same. It was nice because there was always time to watch it, but I like it. It's kind of the one thing at Christmas. I always say to my family, it's like, I don't care what happens at Christmas, but I'm sitting down to watch Doctor Who on Christmas Day.
I will be as well, and I think I think we've summed up the fact that we really liked. What is it? The 60th anniversary specials? Is that what we're calling it?
Yeah, I think we're going to call it the 60th anniversary special, the Tennant reunion tour, whatever we want to call it. I liked the fact, if when you compare, because what I haven't compared them to is like the 50th special, which was a big event in the Doctor's personal timeline, and we did have all those previous and future Doctors coming in there. I like the fact this did something different. That this gave us a season in 2 weeks basically over 3 Saturdays.
I imagine we will see, because this is a Disney series now, we will see these people again, as in the whole family.
There's spin-offs you could see there that would be viable. I mean, a Tennant and Tate series, absolutely viable. They've both got good American perspective. They're both, known over there. That would be good. Even as a mini-series, just one-off mini-series, that'll be fine. Do that as and when. The Unit spin-off series, that would be really quite engaging. I would love to watch a Unit series. I love middle sci-fi, with my love of Stargate there, obviously. So I would love to have the chance for, Gemma Redgrave to really kind of run with it. We've got a scientific advisor now. We've got a cast. We could build it up. The Unit story could be told, and you could get Tennant guesting in it if we could afford him.
It would be the equivalent of Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. In comparison to the MCU movies.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. But the focus has to be though on 15, and that's what I'm really looking forward to. The next season, the Christmas special, and then the next season. So obviously, Christmas Day, we've got to remember, it's not just the Christmas episode. It's hopefully a trailer for the new season as well.
I know, because we're always thinking about the future. Literally thinking about it now. I'm going, there's going to be 8 episodes. Then what happens at the end that makes me want to watch the Christmas special in 2024? This hasn't happened for a while because. I'm not knocking the Flux, which I really liked because it was episodic and it was just.
It was better. It was better than most of Jodie's actual main series. I thought so.
Right. So there you go. So we might return around Christmas time with our.
I think so. I think it would be only fair, would it, Elliot? A nice chilled out Christmas review of the Christmas episode.
Season 19.
Season 19. Oh, okay. 19. Excellent.
The Davison one we were going to do.
Yes, that was it. Yeah, that was what we were going to go for. Yeah.
Which, interesting enough, to give it a bit of an interesting hook, was voted the least popular season of Doctor Who recently.
Really?
In a poll, and I was like, that can't be right. Looked it up. Yeah, season 19, debut Peter Davison, right at the bottom. What is that?
Wow.
About? There you go.
Okay, well we're gonna be having some counter opinions, I suspect, to that vote. Yeah.
We'll speak to you soon.
Indeed. Yeah. Great talking to you, Elliot.